My sister-in-law just shows up out of the blue. I haven't seen her in like a decade. She's demanding something from me, which I just find absolutely ridiculous. It was so ridiculous, I thought she was joking around. But then I get served court papers that says I'm being sued. Let me tell you exactly what the heck's going on. It's true that bad times show the true colors of people. It's so sad that people try to take advantage of somebody's misery and vulnerability. This is hitting me hard as I'm battling the most difficult phase of my life with the loss of my husband. I'm 57, female. I lost my husband of 35 years a month ago. My husband, Brenn, and we have 3 children. All are adults and married with children of their own. 2 of them live with their family in their separate houses, while my youngest son and his family have been living with me. 2 years back, he got paralyzed in a road accident. He has a 3-year-old son, and he was unable to work and provide for the family. I asked him to move in with us, and his wife had a job, but the money was not enough to pay the bills. It was all smooth. My son was in fact recovering from his paralysis when we were hit with another shock last month. I lost my husband. He had a cardiac arrest. His demise came as a huge shock for everybody because he had been a pillar of strength. Also, it was so sudden that I could not do anything to save him. He went too soon. We were still mourning the loss, and we encountered another problem. I was hit with the entry of my sister-in-law, Maria. She's 51 and female and has been living in Canada for the last 10 years. She settled there after her children got jobs in Canada. In those 10 years, she's visited us only twice. She did not even used to visit my ailing in-laws, her parents. She's attended their funeral, though, and after that, we saw her straight after my husband's funeral. She said that she got to know about Brenn's demise very late, hence she could not attend his funeral. I assured her it was fine. It is pretty normal here for people to be busy in their own lives and only show up at important occasions. Well, for example, a funeral. So I was not surprised at her late visit. She consoled me and tried to cheer me up, though. She said she wanted to stay for me sometime just to help me overcome the loss. This was the first time that she was staying at our place. We have a 5-bedroom house, so she took up one of the guest rooms. I didn't mind her staying because her company distracted me for some time. I got concerned when she overstayed and started meddling too much in our personal business, though. Especially in my son and daughter-in-law's lives. You see, my daughter-in-law is usually a very quiet and peaceful person, but after a week of Maria's stay, she complained that Maria was commenting too much on her life regarding her work schedule and her upbringing of her son. She even pestered my son to try out some weird techniques of physiotherapy that would expedite his healing process. Initially, we thought that she was just suggesting all these ideas with a good motive in mind, but eventually, we realized that she had no clue of what she was even speaking of. She was just being nosy, trying to boss around everybody in the house. So a week later, I softly asked Maria when is her flight to Canada. Her answer gave chills to my nerves, and she said that she was here to stay with us because this was her brother's house and the only remnants of her family property. She wept as she said that with the loss of Brenn, she had no living immediate family in the world, so I consoled her, thinking she was lonely and missed her parents and brother. I requested my daughter-in-law to adjust for the time being while Maria was there in the house. As the days passed, her presence bothered me more and more. She became unbearable. It was almost 2 weeks that she was staying in the house, but she did not used to help us with any of the household chores. So I started nudging her frequently as to when was her flight back home. She kept giving me vague answers like she would like to live in her brother's house for some time, and then she said that she wanted to die peacefully right where her brother had taken his last breath. After all this BS, she finally revealed her exact motive behind the stay. She wanted the house. Well, it happened so that she was passing a snarky comment at my daughter-in-law because she came late from her work. My daughter-in-law had been quietly tolerating her all this while on my request, so it was my duty to protect her. I lost my mind at Maria's comment and asked her to stay away from our family members. She turned defensive and said she was just advising my daughter-in-law and teaching her how to be a good wife and a good daughter-in-law. I intentionally blew up the matter and asked her to leave us alone. She gets angry that I was unnecessarily being loud and hyper and said that she would not leave the house because it was hers. She said that her brother had gifted her the house and hence she would not leave us alone. My mother-in-law thought Maria was just getting dramatic and hence took me away. The next day, I wanted to involve Maria's children to take her away, but I did not have any of their contacts. I tried to find them on social media, but no luck. There's no one in the family whom I can involve to mediate the matter between us and Maria. My in-laws are dead, and so is my husband. Brenn did not have a lot of extended family apart from his uncle, who had also passed away. He has children, but I don't think they'll be interested in interfering in our family matters. I could have called the police on her, but it would be a bit extreme, right? She's not being evil to us yet. My daughter-in-law could be right that Maria would have been lonely in Canada, hence she wants to stay with us here. Also, she could be missing her parents and brother whom she lost in 5 years. I don't know if she's truly missing her brother or if she has any hidden intention like she blurted out that day that it was her house that Brenn had gifted her. I don't know what's the best way to deal with Maria in this situation. How do I evict her from my house without any extreme measures? Anyone who has experienced a similar situation, please advise me. Thank you. Update number 1. Thank you for the support and the virtual hugs I got in the comment section. I did not realize that my story would have oh so many comments. Anyways, thank you. Also, I did not get the time to make up an update earlier because I was handling this mess. Though I've replied in comments and also to the messages regarding the current situation, let me explain in a bit more detail. Things got absolutely real. Her claims that she wanted the house was not a mere emotional surge. What she wanted was real. After the incident, she turned more aggressive towards us and behaved as if she was doing us a favor by letting us stay in our own home. She starts talking more and more about how my husband Brenn had gifted her the house when she visited the country for her mother's funeral. I told her that Brenn had never mentioned giving away the house to her. Besides, that house was not his ancestral property to give away to his sister when he was survived by his children and grandchildren. The house was built by Brenn and me. Both Brenn and I used to work 2 jobs in the initial years of marriage and live frugally to save up for the down payment of the house, and after that, we lived way below our means to pay for the house EMI, which is ridiculous. We've sacrificed a lot of our happiness to build this house, and we cannot let anyone have it for free. Upon hearing this, she said Brenn had never told her that I had equally contributed to building the house. I asked her to show the property papers to prove the claim then. Well, she said that Brenn had yet to transfer the house in her name, but he had promised her that he would do it. I told her the verbal promises don't count, especially when the person's dead, and none of us were around when he said it, so we cannot consider that. But she continued to argue that Brenn had promised her, and now that we have to honor the promise of a dead man. I would have loved to honor the promise made by my late husband, but giving away the house was something which I could never agree upon. Besides, she had no proof that he even promised her. So, I asked her to leave the house. I've had enough of this drama for today, and she refused to leave the home and instead asked us to leave. I pulled out the property papers, which were in Brenn's name, and threatened to call the police on her. She did not have any legal documents to prove her claim, so there's no way the cops would ever believe her. So she helplessly left our house that day. I thought it was the end of it, but little did I know it was just the beginning of something I like to call chaos. We thought that she had left for Canada, but oh no. A week later, we got court papers that Maria filed a lawsuit against us. She claimed that Brenn had promised the house to her in case anything happened to him. She also claimed foul play in Brenn's heart attack and said that my husband was scared that I and his children wanted to kill him to get the house. Could you imagine how traumatic and painful this situation is for me? I never thought that she would ever stoop this low to rip us out of our home. She has everything of her own, and I heard that her husband has decent property in Canada, and her children are also doing good. Yet she's behind us. I broke down on seeing the lawsuit because I neither had the money nor the energy to fight a court case. I have a paralyzed son at home and a toddler grandchild who needs to be admitted to school soon, not to mention how expensive education and healthcare have become. Besides this house, we have nothing, and I'm yet to enter 60, so I don't have access to a pension yet. My daughter-in-law works, but that's not enough to feed all of us. Well, we had some savings which we're using to keep our expenses afloat. I'm looking for a job to help out my daughter-in-law, but until then, she is the breadwinner of the house, and we're yet to get Brenn's insurance amount, and I'm scared that this court case might delay it even further. I called up my other two sons and told them about the entire Maria episode. They've agreed to sponsor the lawyer's fees to fight back the case, but they did not have the time to attend the hearings and run after the attorneys, so I took up the responsibility. I hired a lawyer whom I've known for many years, and he had helped us sort out some property matters before. He assured us that we had the upper hand in the case because Maria had yet to provide any evidence that Brenn had actually given her the home. Besides, she's raising a claim of foul play on Brenn's cause of death, which meant she was directly challenging the autopsy report, which the doctors and hospitals would not take easily. My lawyer has responded to the court notice, but we've yet to get a date for the hearing. I'll make an update soon, guys, once I'm able to know about the court case. Meanwhile, if anyone has any suggestions regarding the lawsuit or any precautions should I take to safeguard my home, please let me know. This court case is taking a toll on our mental state. It's also becoming too heavy on our pockets. Update number 2. Hey y'all, I intend to make an update only after wrapping up the court case, but a few days ago my lawyer found out some shocking truth about Maria. Hence I came here rushing to share it with you guys. But let me first start with what happened in the first court hearing. Maria's lawyer claimed that my husband Brenn and Maria at their mother's funeral. There, he opened his heart to Maria and said that he feared that his family, me and my sons, wanted to kill him to take possession of the home. Apparently, Brenn had also told her that if anything happened to him, the house would go to Maria. They also added one more thing, that we had planned to claim the insurance money. Basically, they alleged that we killed Brenn for the insurance money and the house. Yeah, I know, ridiculous. My lawyer defended all the allegations on the basis of an autopsy report, which had ruled any possibility of external stimulation. When my lawyer asked for the evidence to back up the claim that Brenn had promised the house to her, she presented a handwritten note with Brenn's signature. When her lawyer presented the paper, she smirked at me as if she had already won the case. My lawyer pulled me aside and asked me if I knew about it. Well, I was shocked because she never showed any papers to me. Besides, it was unbelievable that Brenn would do that. He was not even close to his sister. Like I said, we had barely met her in the 35 years of our marriage. Since the document's handwritten, the court did not accept it up front. It was sent to forensics to match Brenn's handwriting and signature. She also claimed that she had a legal document where Brenn had transferred the house in her name, but the paper was in Canada, hence she was unable to present it. Does she think the court would believe her without any evidence and my house would be given away to her just like this? Maria's lawyer has also requested the investigation of the post-mortem report because they smell a dead rat. The court has agreed to the investigation, and the insurance company also got interested in the investigation because if it were not a natural death, they would not have to give us the money. We would have gotten the insurance money by now, but due to Maria's stupid allegations, the company has halted the disbursement until we can come clean in court. Everyone here is trying to save their back. The court was adjourned, giving everybody enough time to investigate and gather their evidence, and the next hearing date is still some weeks away. My lawyer used this time to sleuth Maria's background a little more. He suspected that her family was behind this since they were instigating her to sue us and get the house back if she got the house. It would ultimately go to them. I found it a little unbelievable because her children have never shown interest in our lives. In fact, I've never met them in several years. The lawyer dug deeper into Maria and Brenn's inheritance, and whatever I knew, I told him. The rest he found out by his sources, and I knew that Brenn's parents left no inheritance except for some cash and jewelry, which they had kept in their blank lockers. The nominee of the locker was Brenn, so it ultimately came to us. It was a no-brainer. At this point, even my lawyer gets suspicious of us about how could Brenn's parents give everything, whatever little, to Brenn, and nothing to Maria. He went deep into the investigations, and what he found absolutely shocked us all. Maria was not Brenn's sister. Neither was she half-sister or stepsister. She was adopted. She was an orphan. My in-laws raised her, educated her, and gave her a good life. This revelation made sense due to the fact that she was so distant from us. Even when she was in the country, she did not visit my in-laws that often. I think Brenn also never knew about this. Else he would have told me, I'm sure. Or I think even if he knew, it could also be possible that Maria was never a part of his life. Hence, he did not feel the need to disclose the truth. This information really made me think that we should not conceal any secrets or information from our family because it could backfire on them in our absence. This is a lesson for all of us that we, don't hide sensitive details from our partners and children. Although the previous information was enough to rule the case in our favor, yet my lawyer wanted to be sure that there's no other uncertainties coming our way. My lawyer took help from his associates from Canada to dig into Maria's current family background. You see, the Canadian associate has given the report that Maria's family is clear about this case. They're not involved at all. In fact, she was not living with them in Canada. She was put in a care household because her children were too busy to have her with them. I even got the contact of his children, and she lost her husband a few years ago in a road accident. Surprisingly, she had never mentioned the demise of her husband during her stay in our house. I'm planning on contacting her children and asking them to take her away. Not sure what their family dynamics are, and how could they leave their mother unattended in a different country for so long? I would have done that earlier if I had their contact, though. Meanwhile, I've joined a plant nursery to keep myself distracted from this ongoing tension and earn some money for the house. I have previous experience as gardening professional, so getting this job was easy for me. I'm hoping that the next hearing will be the end of it. I'll make an update once this is all over. If anyone has any advice which I should take so safeguard my case, please let me know. Would be grateful for the help. Thanks again. Update number 3. Hey guys, I'm back again and I just want to tell you a few things. Finally, the court case is over. And our house is safe with us. Thanks everyone for all your support and advice each one of you has provided. I appreciate it. I've personally thanked a lot of you after I won the case, but this is for the general audience of the group listening. As I mentioned in my last post, my lawyer discovered that Maria was not my own sister-in-law. She was adopted by my in-laws. If this revelation was not enough, I got another shocking bit of news when I reached out to Maria's children. The same night after my last update, I reached out to Maria's oldest son, but he did not respond until after 2 days. Well, he saw my messages, yet chose to ignore them. The message had a clear description that it was about his mother, yet he ignored it anyways. Then I reached out to her daughter. Thankfully, she responded to me, and she apologized to me after knowing that her mother had troubled us this far. But she also informed me that Maria had been battling mental trauma ever since the death of her husband in a sudden road accident. She told me that Maria is yet to come to terms with the loss and thinks that her husband is still alive and will one day return to her. On top of that, she had recently been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and an early stage of dementia. This was really shocking because I could have never imagined her suffering from a mental disorder because she, used to put up such a face. I think I could not figure out that something was off with her because I've never known her before, so I don't know how she was normally. I definitely noticed that she was weird, but I thought that's how she's just been. I asked her how Maria came to know about Brenn's death and how she managed to travel this far alone. She said that Maria had done this many times when she had left the care of the house, and then they had to find her all over the cities. But this time they had no idea that she was in an altogether different country. She said that it could just be a mere coincidence that she's happened to arrive just after Brenn's death. But after coming to Arizona, she might have met with other relatives who would have informed her about Brenn's heart attack, and that's when she played along. Her daughter joined us in the next court proceedings. My lawyer had gathered enough evidence to prove that Maria was adopted. The adoption certificate from her orphanage was the most prominent one, so by default, Brenn's house could not go to Maria even if it was ancestral property. Her lawyer argued that anybody can give away their property to anybody, irrespective of any relationship between them. However, they were not able to provide any valid documents that could prove that Brenn had said that. Also, the forensic reports of the handwritten letter presented by Maria had a negligible match with Brenn's actual handwriting signature, so the court dismissed the letter as evidence to prove Maria's case. I'm guessing she would have written the letter on her own. Despite this, her lawyer insisted that the court accepted her verbal claims. After knowing her mental state, it's understandable that Maria was delusional. But what about her lawyer? The way he was baselessly arguing his claims made him sound like he was stoned or high on something. Finally, we had to present the medical reports of Maria to prove her mental instability, and in fact her daughter also stated that Maria was suffering from bipolar disorder and recently has been diagnosed with the early-stage dementia. I felt terrible disclosing her mental state in front of everybody in the court, but I had no other option. The case was just getting dragged, and even the insurance money was kept on hold. I had to close this case, basically, ASAP. Maria turned defensive and started yelling at the lawyer. The way that she behaved after that, it was evidence that she was indeed suffering from a mental illness. Her daughter had to intervene in the situation to calm her down. The court dismissed Maria's case, and she won't be able to pursue any further legal action against me for the house. Not only did the court rule in my favor, but it also ordered Maria to undergo treatment. Her daughter was asked to admit Maria to a hospital for her treatment, and it's heartbreaking to see her mental health deteriorate like this. But at least my husband's memory and our home are safe, and I had to protect my home and our memories. Brenn and I had worked so hard to build our life up together in that house, and it's held so many memories of ours for more than 2 decades. As for me, I'm slowly healing from the loss of my husband and the stress of the legal battle. Life is never without challenges, but I'm grateful for the supports of my friends and family. Our house remains a place filled with cherished memories, and I'll continue to honor my husband's memory in that space. Thank you. You've been a source of strength for me, and I truly appreciate each and every one of you. So this story was incredibly sad all the way around. At first, in my opinion, I was, not on the sister-in-law's side. I was like, what's wrong with this girl? Just showing up while OP is grieving after losing her husband like that, and finding out that his sister, after all these years, is coming back to try to take the house. I thought that she was ridiculous, but at the same time, I did not know all the mental illnesses that she was battling, so this story turned out to just be an overall sad story. I do want to hear from you guys, though. If you were in OP's position, how would you have gone about handling that? Do you think OP handled it pretty good, or would you have done something different? Let me know your opinions downstairs in our comment section. Guys, thank you for joining me today. My name's Mr. Reddito. I narrate stories like this every day. In-law dramas, mother-in-law, sister-in-law, inheritance dispute, cheating stories, Karen in the Wild dramas, wedding fiascos. We cover it all. Thank you once again. Make sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya.